It's not. This is a Christian nation. This is America.
I fear and love God. When you remove
What it do, everybody? This is episode number 41 of the MK podcast, and we're going to be reacting to your boy Nick Fuentes. You already know what it is, man. Kane, what's good, boy?
You already know what time it is, man. Back there, start smoke game on the Hungry House. Next time.
Every single night, every single night, right? I was looking at the time and I don't even fight like I was screaming at my daddy, told me in Christ like I was screaming at the referee, just like Mike, looking for a bright light, legal with your life, like riding on a white bike, feeling like a tight fight, pressing on the gas, feeling over full night, like screaming at my dad, told me in Christ like, but nobody never told me being like Christ, only you see it, always when they eat me, like a time of everything I won't be deep, searching for a deed, now you want to be a freak, now you want to see it free, like to see it, be a bitch, tell me what your life like, turn it down the right light, I don't want my dad, and he told me it ain't Christ like, I'm just trying to find a way for a new way, just really trying not to break through the fool way, I don't have a fool way, being on my best though, if I can hold a text though, doesn't tell text though, another word, another picture or a test smoke, best of never die, I don't really want to rest so, Spanish for the life like, everything in my life, talking with my dad, and he said it ain't Christ like. The miracle first is inevitable, it's unstoppable.
A shout out to the Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes interview debate dropping tomorrow. And from what I've heard, allegedly, Candace was in shambles.
This is a Christian nation. This is America.
I fear and love God. When you remove the fear and love of God, you create the fear and love of everything else.
I'd like to propose a toast to our people. I'd like to propose a toast to the Groypers, to White Boy Summer, White Boy Century, to the reaction and the reclamation of the United States. Cheers, everybody. That's going to happen. They kick me off the plane. You know what that means? White Boy Summer road trip. They give us lemons, we make lemonade. They throw me behind bars, and I start throwing baseball up against the wall. And now I'm playing catch. Because you know what? The only time that they win is when they try and pull for our spirit. But they never can. They never take that away from us. Because I believe in God. And I believe in America. And I believe in what I'm doing. We are still enjoying.
Who are they now? You're looking at him, asshole.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. All my niggas Nazis, she wanna put the pen, put the crumb on the bench.
We paved the way with our courses. Groypers and all the alt-righters that got banned, all the alt-righters that got slandered, even people that killed themselves. Our courses paved the way for you now to walk over. And you can't give us acknowledgement. Now you want to slam the door on us. It's not right. It's not right. Show has always been me. I'm just getting on the air. You know what I'm about. You know my story. I'm just real. I'm just real. I just lay it all on the field there. I'm a real human. We're bringing humanity back. We're making humanity cool again. If you want like the aloof corporate, robot people, okay, go somewhere else. This is the human stream. This is the human being stream. Good evening, everybody. You're watching Human Beings First. I'm a human being. We got a great show for you tonight. Our feature story is about how humanity is back. Humanity is back, and the real human beings are back. And we got a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Follow my Telegram channel at realhumanbeing.org, realhuman.com. Give me your email, which should be human@human.com. I'm being silly, but it's true. It's true. Some people get it, some people don't. It's the human against the haters. There's a lot of haters, a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment. And, and we just got to rise up above against that. The human beings have to rise up, against all the hate, against all odds, against all the snipes, the jabs, the feds, the journalists, and the doubters, the traitors, the deceivers. The human beings got to rise up. And we gotta do what must be done no matter what. With the power of God, with the will of God guiding us, God paving a path, we gotta rise up with our God-given strength.
This is the part that Nick Fuentes they don't want to talk about. We gotta be
really and truly and extremely human. And we're looking at being human very strongly. It's called being human, and we're looking at it very strongly.
You can tell this nigga is incredible to Trump, though.
It's so true.
He's copying that voice, man.
It's truly special. It's gonna be something truly special.
You see that shit?
Oh, yeah.
during the course of the war. This was not the beginning of it. It's not the end of it. This was the pinnacle of a 15-year, at least a 15-year conflict between Israel and Iran. So in other words, rather than this war starting and ending in 12 days, the 12-day war was the climax of a war that has been raging for 15 years off and on. And it's happened in the domain of cyberspace with sabotage, assassinations, espionage, false flags, even industrial sabotage, many different kinds of things, many modes of conflict. And so if you understand that's where we came from, that's how we got where we are, then you understand where we're going. And where we're going is probably a rehash, a repeat of what we saw. It's either going to be something almost exactly the same or something very similar. It's going to be more war, which will ultimately culminate in regime change. And so tonight we'll talk about some of the thinking there. We'll talk about the meeting that Trump had with Netanyahu and what sources are saying about what either side wants. And the situation is basically unchanged from before the war. Iran still wants centrifuges. Israel still thinks that's unacceptable. And Trump still wants a deal. Nothing regarding those conditions has fundamentally changed. What has changed, of course, is that Trump has shattered any trust that was being built between Washington and Tehran. Whereas maybe the reformist president of Iran was willing to entertain a diplomatic overture from the United States before, after the United States participated in the strikes on Iran with Israel, I think that's certainly not the case anymore. And they've said as much. And not only that, but now Iran has expelled all IAEA inspectors from the country. So the only developments that have happened is that diplomacy has become less likely, which means that war is more likely, even though it's apparently over. So we'll talk all about that. That's going to be our main story. We're also going to talk tonight about how ICE is deporting anti-Semites. We know that's been happening. They're revoking citizenship, green cards. It's not just illegals. They're taking citizenship from people that are considered anti-Semitic. But there's a new story about how they're doing it. According to new testimony from ICE, this is not Rubio. This is not some of the bad elements in the cabinet. This is from ICE. ICE is using a website called Canary Mission, which is an Israeli group. It's an Israeli front, and a Jewish group called Beitar. They're using basically kill lists from the Israelis to determine who to deport. And the list has thousands and thousands of names on it. The State Department, DHS, have created this list of so-called anti-Semites, Israel critics, that are slated for deportation, for their visa to be revoked, for citizenship to be revoked. And they got that list from psycho-fanatical Zionists, an Israeli front called Canary Mission, which actually even has me on their list. It has me on their website. So go figure.
What do you think about that shit?
That's crazy, bro. Look, at the end of the day, everybody is entitled to their own viewpoints. Everybody's entitled to think what they want, believe what they want. Whether you like the Israeli people or you hate the Israeli people, that's up to you. But that don't mean that people deserve to die. At the same time, I also don't think that that means that people deserve to get deported either. The only time I think that people like that should be deported is if they are legit causing chaos within the country. You know, rioting, burning down buildings, whatever the case may be, actually targeting and causing harm to people. Stuff like that, I think, should warrant some type of discipline or consequence, so to speak. But if you're just voicing your opinions and whatnot, and you voicing your dislike for a certain country or whatever, I don't think that that warrants any type of deportation. The fact that they have him on their kill list is crazy. What do you think?
If that's the facts, they would have sent people like Charleston out of this bitch a long time ago. Like, just because what people say does not give authority the right to be able to remove their citizenship. At the end of the day, those people are Americans, whether you agree with them or not. Now, if they're dissing America and, like you said, inciting violence, literally out there in the streets, get them gone. But that's just crazy if that's true. That's fucking crazy.
$150 billion for ICE to carry out their strategic mass deportations, which means not very many people at all, and not farmers, and not construction workers, and not hospitality employees, but it will include anti-Semites. It will include people with citizenship that have criticized Israel, who have been informed on by people like Ben Shapiro. So we'll talk about that too. It's going to be a good show, even though it's a slow day. There's not a lot going on, and I'm way late. Sorry. I was thinking about that tonight. People get so mad that the show is like really inconsistent. And I was thinking, but look, guys, I'm not a clock, okay? I'm not an alarm clock. You don't set me up and the buzzer goes off at the pre-selected time. I'm a human being. I am a human being. People say the show is 5 hours late. We never know when the show starts. What time does your show even go live? Do we really need 5 hours of intro at the beginning of every video? I'm not a clock. I don't know what to tell you. Do I look like a clock? I know I have 2 hands and I have a white face. Do I look like a clock to you? Do I look like an alarm clock? Am I supposed to just start chiming and ringing the moment the clock starts 8? I don't think so. So unless and until I become a mechanical clock, unless and until you start seeing gears and springs coming out of my eyes, coming out of my wherever, what's this expectation? You have to be exactly to the second, to the minute, on time. You have to not be 5 hours late. What's the expectation exactly?
That's 100% facts, bro. Y'all gotta remember that these are people. That these are people. These are they're human beings. And if you're sitting around crying because the show is late, you crying because you can't watch another grown man on camera whenever you want to watch them, you need to go ahead and jump off a cliff. He don't have to do his show if he didn't want to. Like if he decided one day, man, you know, I think I'm gonna take the day off from doing the show and I'm gonna do something else. He can, and you ain't got no right to be mad. You know why? Because you ain't the one that's doing the show. So quit crying. Turn your post notifications on. That way you get notified every time that his show starts. If you really that addicted to watching another grown man on camera, go ahead and turn them post notifications on. And while you at it, walk on down to the hospital and sign up for that gender affirming care to go ahead and get you some estrogen.
You know, the cold part about it is there's niggas that probably sat through 5 hours just eating so many different snacks like Tostitos chips and fucking on the border chips, fucking tortillas and all types of shit. Damn, I sounded racist as hell just now. But all types of shit. And they waited 5 hours. Dude, after 2 minutes, I skipped to the fucking show. Like, if y'all are that purposeless and that bored and that detached from your responsibilities, you need to join Boba Fett to the Sarlacc pit immediately, bastards.
A little confused. I think that in an era of deep fakes and artificial intelligence and voice emulation, you know, there's something refreshing about something really organic, something unpredictable, something really uncontrollable. That's just me. Maybe I'm old school like that. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know much about all this artificial intelligence and chat GP, who knows what now. I don't know much about any of this kind of stuff. I go live at night. I go live at night when I feel like I have a show inside of me. So anyway, so I'm a little late, but I promise I'll be more on time tomorrow. I'm not doing a show on Friday. I'm going to be doing another big collaboration, huge. I'm going to be doing another big collaboration on Friday, so I won't be doing a show. But I'll be here tomorrow. And I promise, pinky promise, I'll be here far earlier. I promise, really. But Friday, I will not be doing a show. I'll be back on Monday. What else? Well, you now know my other big collaboration, Cat's Out of the Bag. I did an interview with Candace Owens. And, you know, when I did the interview, I said about it, I said, I did this big collaboration. It didn't go how I thought it would go. I think you're going to be disappointed. Look, I'll just be honest. It's good content. You know, I think you're going to be entertained. But what I was disappointed about is that, and, you know, I don't know how much I want to say about it. I mean, I don't want to blow up everybody's spot. It's on Friday, so you're going to see it in a couple days anyway. But what I mean by that is I was expecting that we would kind of come together and talk about the war in Iran, because she hit me up the day after the U.S. strikes and said, get down here as soon as possible. I said, okay. And spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you what we talked about. We didn't talk about Iran at all, even slightly. It didn't come up even once. And we barely talked about really any of the topical stuff, anything about Jewish power, anything about none of the stuff. This was her, I guess she saw this as an opportunity to confront me about some things she disagrees with me about, which I'm okay with. You know, I'm fine with that. You know me. I love a good confrontation, if nothing else. But I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to go differently. So, because I know people heard that and they thought that was very cryptic at that time. They didn't know who it was with. And what I meant by that, and now that, you know, it's the Candace interview, and people are congratulating me. Look, I mean, it's going to be a big interview, but it's not going to be on her channel. It's going to be behind her paywall, which I don't love. I think she should post it on X. I don't, you know, and she's given me, well, again, I don't want to spoil everything, but like, you know, obviously we've had beef in the past. Let's just put it that way. And part of the beef was about, if we do a collaboration, how are we going to go about doing it? You know, there are all these reasons that it was going to be super, super difficult to do. But I'm on X, she's on X. She tells me at the tail end of it, oh, we're going to put it behind the paywall. I'm like, oh, I think she should put it on X. I think that's kind of, I don't really get that. X is a free speech platform. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. There's no restrictions on X. You can post long form content. She got a check mark. She said, oh, we'll put it behind the paywall. We're only going to charge like $1 for it. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's not really going to be, I mean, everyone's going to watch it, I guess. They'll see the clips, but I think she should put it on X, but whatever. So anyway, I'll tell you how I feel about it when it comes out. I'm not going to be here Friday. I'll be back Monday. And Monday, I kind of want to let everybody watch it. I don't want to color it with my commentary beforehand. I'm trying not to. But I'll tell you all about it on Monday. But I kind of want you guys to watch it with fresh eyes. And you tell me what you think about it. You tell me how you think that went. And I'll just I can't help myself. I'll just say this much. You know, recently I did a big debate with Dinesh D'Souza, and he was surprised that it was cordial, that it was super informative. InfoWars is getting a lot of credit because it was, I think, a truly exceptional debate. And I think that that's one way to handle it. And then there's another way to handle things. I'll just say that much. One way to handle things is let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about what's happening in America. Let's talk about the stuff. And then there's other shit that people want to do. So, you know, it is what it is. I thought at this point in my life, and from certain people like Candace, I thought we'd kind of be over the hump. You know, I've been doing media appearances for a long time. Some good, some bad. Some are confrontational. Some are friendly. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but in retrospect, I should have, and I did. And I'll kind of clue you in on Monday, but I'll tell you how I feel about the whole thing. But you know, you'll see for yourself. I'm sure it'll be clipped up on Twitter, and you be the judge. But yeah, so I did do the interview with Candace. I didn't really appreciate the trailer either. She tells me, "Oh, I'm going to make the trailer spicy, you know, clickbaity, so people will watch it." I didn't know I'm going to get painted as a fucking Jew hater. You know, the trailer was, I'm racist. You're terrible. Are you a Jew hater? You know, I'm like, really? I feel like that is so like 2019. Whatever. Hey, but you know what? It's got people talking. I think people would have been talking even if they just saw us together. I think even if it was just me and her in a freaking thumbnail, people would be talking about it. But no, we got to do the, what did she say? You're crappy. You're the most evil person ever. You're a racist. Are you a Jew hater? Well, come on. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's kind of corny, bro. That's kind of corny, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And it's like, that's the reason why, bro, people that weren't cool, you gotta understand, like, y'all can accept one another, but that don't mean you have to be around each other. Like, too many times y'all link up with the ops for content. Candace don't fuck with Nick. Nick don't fuck with Candace. So he should have known that when she invited him, she was going to be on some petty shit, bro. It's a female, and it's a proud female nigga bitch. So, I mean, what did you expect? Salute to Candace, but there's no way I would ever sit nowhere and debate shit with no other woman, let alone Candace Mandis Owens. That shit would never happen.
I think at some point he had to have seen some goofy shit like that coming. I mean, come on. Like, all the crazy things that you say, whether they're true, whether they're not, doesn't matter. When you know what you say and you know what you're talking about and you believe what you're talking about, there's going to be people who are going to try to make you out to be a bad guy, make you out to be a hater, make you out to be a demon. So, like, you can't really be mad at people for trying to paint you out that way or try to, you know, back you into a corner on a camera or whatever so they can say, oh, I did this to Nick, I did that to Nick. Like, people are going to try to do that when you're just that dude that stands on his beliefs and doesn't care what nobody else thinks.
And I'm not mad about it. I'm more just like amused. I literally just have to roll my eyes and be like, really? Whatever. It is what it is, you know. That's how the Cookie King crumbles sometimes. That's how the Cookie Monster crumbles. That is how those 6 million cookies come crumbling apart and go up the chimney at the cookie baking factory at the Chips Ahoy headquarters. So anyway, so we'll see. So you'll see how it is on Friday. I'm interested how it went because, you know, whenever somebody's pressing me and I don't expect it, I get on the back foot because I come in being friendly and everything. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about it. But anyway, so that's going to be on Friday, and then I'll do a big reaction. Maybe I'll do a space on Friday because I'm not going to do a show, but if not, then I'll do the show on Monday. So that'll be it. But okay, with that out of the way, just telling you, look, just being, because I know people are going to ask me in the super chats, because I gave this kind of cryptic statement. I said it didn't go so well, and I didn't mean I didn't like it. I just mean that I thought it was going to be something other than what it was. You know, we had 2 weeks of like intense Iran wargaming stuff, and that's what I was prepped to do. I was cramming the entire week for the debate, for the show. And then I show up and I'm getting, you know, screenshots thrown in my face. What about this clip? What about this clip? I'm like, hey, man, I don't know. That was a year ago. Okay. I'm here. I want to talk about Iran, but whatever. So anyway, it's going to be the Blake Lively, you know, Brad Pitt, freaking, you know, Sabrina Carpenter hour of the anti-Semites of the planet. Okay. It's going to be your e-news of anti-Semitic Twitter. Anyway, but we're going to move on. We're going to get into the show. Our featured story. What else? Is there anything else? Trying to think. No. What did I tweet about today? Oh, I said Ben Shapiro got what he voted for. Yeah, there's not too much else going on, I guess. It's been pretty slow ever since the big, beautiful bill, the Epstein stuff. Oh, I got to burn this MAGA hat. I said I was going to burn it yesterday. I totally forgot. Well, whatever. We'll do it tomorrow, I guess. But I do want to move on. We're going to get into our news for the night. Our featured story is all about Iran. Speaking of that, I want to get into where we are on this because just like before, maybe this was just me, but before the Iran war started between Israel and Iran, I felt like all the coverage of Iran was really tedious. But I kept telling you that it was really important. I said, because although we've been talking about it for years and we cover every little minute development, I said it's going to be a huge story. When the bombs start dropping, you'll see this is going to be a really big deal. And I sort of feel the same way all over again. Even though the hostilities, the open shooting between Iran and Israel has temporarily stopped, the situation is still extremely dynamic and extremely active. And developments are still happening every day. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a break. We've done a lot of domestic news over the past week and a half, but I do want to spend some time tonight catching everybody up to speed on where we are with Iran. Because like I said, on the contrary, the situation has not been static. It has not been resolved in any way. It is incredibly active still. And we'll talk about where it's going. So the featured story is about Netanyahu's visit with Trump at the White House this week. Again, this is his third visit. So Netanyahu visited the White House at the beginning of February. I think it was February 4th. And he came to the White House to discuss Gaza, to discuss Iran. After that meeting, the United States launched a war against the Houthis in Yemen. And Israel broke their ceasefire agreement with Hamas. Then in April, Netanyahu came back amid a lot of uncertainty about what would happen in the Middle East. And in April, at the second meeting, Netanyahu visited the White House. And nominally, this is what they told the press, he was there to discuss the tariffs, which had just gone into effect the previous week. In reality, he was there to ask Trump for permission to bomb Iran. But he got a big surprise. Instead, Trump announced at that meeting that he was initiating negotiations with Iran, and they would begin that weekend. I think the meeting was on a Tuesday. The first meeting with Iran was that Saturday in Oman. And Trump sort of caught Netanyahu off guard. At least that was the rumor. And some of the reporting said that Trump did not tell Netanyahu's team until just hours before he announced it in the White House talks in front of the press, in front of the whole world. And of course, after that was announced, there were 5 rounds of negotiations over 60 days between the special envoy Steve Witkoff and Iran's foreign minister. The 60-day deadline expired, and then Israel began their war with Iran on June 13th. It was June 12th for us, June 13th for them. And they launched this brutal air campaign, started with, as you know, drone attacks, assassinations, sabotage, and then hundreds of airstrikes. Brutal. And it culminated, of course, in the United States intervening with bunker-busting bombs, destroying or claiming to destroy the nuclear enrichment facility at Fordo. Days later, there was a ceasefire declared, and since then, the shooting has stopped. Well, here we are now, a couple of weeks after the ceasefire. Netanyahu is back at the White House for his third visit, and they say, Netanyahu and Trump say, that the purpose of the meeting is to celebrate the success of the war. They killed 29 Revolutionary Guard generals, a dozen nuclear scientists. They destroyed a ton of military infrastructure, missile launch platforms, the Natanz enrichment facility. They're claiming to have decimated the Fordo enrichment facility. And so just like the second meeting, where they said they were there to discuss tariffs, but really they were talking about Iran, it's the same story this time. Netanyahu visits the White House over a couple of nights, and they say they're here to celebrate. Well, they don't make a trip like that to celebrate. The situation is in flux. The situation is hot and active. Netanyahu did not fly all the way to Washington and stay at the White House for a couple of nights and a few days to throw a little party and to present Trump with another gift. And you know what the gift was, by the way? The first time it was a golden pager when he went to Mar-a-Lago. Or maybe it was, I think, the first White House visit. This time, the gift that he presented Trump with, it was a mezuzah in the shape of a B-2 stealth bomber. Okay, that was the humiliation rituals just don't end. Congratulations, Trump. Here's your gift. Here's your gift. It's a yarmulke in the shape of a MAGA hat. Here's your gift. It's the nails we killed Christ with, but they say, make America great again. Like, this is the humiliation ritual. Here's your B-2 stealth bomber shaped mezuzah. Nail it to your door. So it wasn't to present a gift. It wasn't to throw a party. Just like the second time, this is a pretext. The real reason he's here is to plan further military action against Iran. And what has taken place since Israel's war with Iran finished? Well, of course, the biggest thing that has happened, what you all know about, what you've all heard about, is there has been this debate out in public about the extent and the scope of the damage, the efficacy of the U.S. strikes against Fordo. Because, of course, this was the pretext for the entire war, for this 12-day war, for all the hostilities going back to 2009 and even going back to 2003. The reason that we need to be fighting Iran is because of their ability to enrich uranium, which they concealed and fortified in underground sites previously undeclared at Fordo, at Natanz, which is also fortified and deeply underground, Isfahan as well. The purpose of the war, nominally, again, this is what they say, this is what Israel says, this is what Washington says. The purpose of Israel's preemptive action, the purpose of the U.S. participation in it, our strike against Fordo. The stated reason. Israel says there was an imminent threat of Iran becoming a nuclear power, that Iran would imminently get a nuclear weapon and attack Israel. Washington said the reason we participated is because we wanted to set back or obliterate Iran's fortified nuclear program. That's what they said. So, of course, after the war, there's a question. Was the war successful? Did it achieve its aims? And if the pretext was, we have to take out this imminent nuclear threat, this urgent nuclear threat, the question is, did we destroy the centrifuges? Are we able to prevent them from enriching uranium by destroying their nuclear centrifuges and their stockpile of already enriched uranium? Now, Iran, Israel, the European Union, the IAEA, and the United States have all said the answer is no. No, we did not achieve that. Now, they all say that these strikes against these nuclear facilities did severe damage, but they did not completely destroy the facilities. What's the difference? Well, in an underground facility like Fordo, or Natanz even for that matter, the goal of dropping the bunker-busting bomb is to cave in the mountain so that everything is completely, irreparably destroyed. These are facilities that are inside these vast caverns, and the reason you drop a bunker buster, as opposed to another tactic, is to literally bring down the ceiling, bring down all of this debris to level everything. Why is that different than normal destruction? Because any other kind of strike, you're targeting the electrical generator, you're targeting the ventilation system, you're trying to make the tunnels impassable. What's the difference? Well, if you cave in the facility, then nothing can be recovered. They have to start from scratch. They have to make new centrifuges, they got to dig new tunnels, they got to make a new cave, they have to start from zero. And that means it's going to take like 5 years to build another Fordo. But if they merely took out the tunnels, well, you can clear tunnels. If they took out the generators of the ventilation, you can repair that. Yes, the centrifuges will malfunction and there will be damage to them if the electricity supply is cut, but you can go in and repair them. If there is some damage to the centrifuges, you can clear the debris, go in and repair the stuff. So one of the questions was, did we actually destroy, did we obliterate, in Trump's vernacular, did we obliterate the centrifuges? It seems the answer is no. They did sustain damage, but they weren't obliterated. But
Interesting, man. And we'll stop with this show for now. We're going to be reacting to a lot more of his content. Kane, what do you think about everything he had to say? Wake your bitch ass up, boy. You better get it together.
I am. Anyways, when he said that Netanyahu came back to discuss further military actions against Iran, that's interesting. The reason why I say it's interesting because it sparked more so a question / theory in my mind. What if the head of the beast in Revelation was a corrupt state of Israel? That shit would be crazy. I could see it because, I mean, you look on social media, most of the anti-Semitic hatred, I guess you could say, gets censored. You don't really see very many people talking or exposing Israel right now on, unless they get banned or demonetized or whatever the case may be. So it just kind of sparked a little question / theory in my mind that what if the state of Israel right now was the head of the beast, so to speak. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. It's definitely a theory that could be delved into. Questions could be presented, but that'll have to be on another show. So with that being said, Justin Bieber is dropping his first ever rap album in 30 minutes. So we'll have a reaction to that tomorrow. And to make it even worse, the album is called Swag. So I'm going to listen to it unbiased and all that, but god damn, hell no. So hopefully he's snapping on there, but I ain't never known Bieber to be no rapper. And his Instagram is now Lil Bieber. So Lil Bieber is dropping an album called Swag at 12 Eastern. I'm not making this up. This isn't AI. Thoughts on that before we get out of here?
I'm standing on business, guys.
So with that being said, Eminem better watch out. Lil Bieber's coming.
No. That I'm imagining his rap album the same way that Will Smith song that we reacted to.
No, I still need to clip that shit. And with that being said, hell no. We're gonna wrap this episode up. We out of here, bitch.